dude. I want to run a Feywild adventure, but there's just not enough Fey monsters.
Well, Ted, I got good news for you. The Wild Beyond the Witchlight has just dropped from Wizards of the Coast that has a whole section of monsters in it, which many of them happen to be Fey.
I'm Nerdarchy Ted.
I'm Nerdarchy Steve. Welcome to Nerdarchy, for nerds, by nerds.
Now let's get into creatures of the Feywild.
So let's see, what are we going to go over today? We're going to go over the monsters in Appendix C from the Wild Beyond the Witchlight. So, the creatures, which they range from 0 to challenge 20.
Which that in and of itself is pretty darn impressive, considering, it's not jam-packed. It's not a monster book. We have 18 different stat blocks, 7 of which are going to be repeats.
Yeah, in the appendix anyway. Then there's another 15 that are kind of like scattered throughout the book. Apparently the Displacer Beast Kitten didn't warrant a place amongst the other monsters. Or the Trent Sapling.
And then, of course, we get 9 NPC stat blocks. That's, a part of that.
So we got a lot of monsters packed in this book for a book that isn't a monster book. So we got some cool new things to play with. But speaking of cool new things to play with, we might as well call out our sponsor and thank them. Hit Point Press, do us a favor, check them out. They are now working with Dingo Doodles for an ongoing Kickstarter that you're going to want to take a look at.
Into the Bellowing Wilds is an exciting new 5e adventure that takes place in the world's deadliest jungle where everything wants to kill you. Delve into the Bellowing Wilds, discover the rich lore of the world, and find out what happened to the ancient Foreclaimers who disappeared thousands of years ago, leaving ruins, mysteries, mechanical dragons, and dinosaurs, and awesome treasure behind. This adventure includes lots of new races, subclasses, character backgrounds and spells, and even a new sub-school of magic. And I apologize, this is a weird one for me. Oneiromancy, the magic of dreams. Not to mention the extremely powerful soul magic usually reserved for the gods. This adventure also features 35 unique monsters, an advanced alchemy and harvesting system, hundreds of curses, and unreasonably wild magic.
Have you seen Dingo Doodle's videos? They're amazing. She tells great stories. I can only imagine this campaign is going to be a fun place to tell those great stories and continue with them. There's going to be a link in the description as well as a card up here that you can click on. Do yourself a favor. Do us a favor. Go take a look at that Kickstarter and see if it's something that interests you.
If you're looking for another way to support Nerdarchy, why not check us out over on Patreon? That'll allow us to keep making videos like this, as well as the awesome articles over on nerdarchy.com.
As a special thank you, every month you'll receive 5e content for both players and DMs alike. That content includes maps from our games, drop-in encounters. We turn our live chats into podcasts that you can take the audios with you wherever you go. We make magic items. Sometimes we make them into print and play cards. We do feats, spells, subclasses, races. You name it, we're probably doing it over there. You can look up in the card here, down in the description, you can find a link to a sampler that you can download for free and see what we're doing, see if you like it.
All right, so we're going to dive into the Wild Beyond the Witchlight, and we've picked out a monster that we think is pretty cool, something to discuss. So we're going to look at the Jabberwock. A Jabberwock is a solitary, temperamental predator that haunts pristine forests and ancient ruins. Accurate descriptions of the Jabberwock are difficult to come by because the rare survivor of an encounter with one retained a confused impression of its parts and not a sense of the whole. Pieced together accounts describe it as a sinewy dragon-like creature that can walk on its hind legs as easily as it travels on all four. Its eyes can emit fiery beams. Once a Jabberwock has chosen its target, it concentrates its attacks on that target until the victim is killed and devoured, until the Jabberwock is killed, or until the target escapes using teleportation magic or other means. If a Jabberwock is slain, another one appears 3 to 8 years later, materializing within 1,000 miles of where the old one perished. No immature Jabberwock has ever been sighted, and the creature does not appear to age.
So right from the description, we can pull a couple things from that, right? Without even getting into this stuff. One, like, if it's decided you're the target, you're kind of screwed because it's just going to keep attacking you until it's dead. Till you're dead, or it's dead. But not only that, it is then going to try to devour you. It is really hard to get resurrected at that point. You're going to need really powerful magic. And also, yeah, you don't worry about death saves. You're not going to have to make them because it's just going to chomp on you until you're no more. That's kind of terrifying in itself. And the other takeaway for me is the fact that they only come in one age, and it's like this monster, this horrifying gnarly looking creature. You're not going to find any babies, and you're not going to find any old ones of it. Just the killing variety.
You also have to look at the fact that like if it's slain, another one just materializes into an existence a number of years later within a certain proximity, of where it died. It could literally appear on the spot or up to 1,000 miles away. That is kind of terrifying to me. And then once we actually get into the stat block, it's a huge dragon that is typically chaotic evil.
I know we mentioned we promised Fey monsters, but this is so cool. We wanted to talk about the Jabberwock.
Indeed.
Armor class is 18, natural 115 hit points. It has a walking speed, a climb speed, a fly speed, and a swim speed. They're all 30 except for its fly, which is 60. For stats, we get a 20 strength, 12 dex, 20 con, 4 intelligence, 7 wisdom, and 11 charisma. So you might be able to outsmart this thing, thankfully. As far as saving throws go, essentially all the saves are pretty good. It's going to get a bonus to them. Its skill is perception. This is something different and interesting. It has a damage vulnerability to slashing from a vorpal sword. That's very specific. It is immune to poison damage, and condition immunities are charmed, frightened, and poisoned. It senses it's a dragon, has true sight out to 120 feet, passive perception 18, no languages, so you're not going to talk and reason to it, and it is a challenge 13.
This is very amusing. The fact that we're seeing a dragon that doesn't talk and has low mentals.
A dragon that's actually is actually dumber than the white dragon.
Well, there is that. I look at this and I'm like, this is, it's considered a dragon, but yet it is far more in the bestial sense. Like, okay, it's got an 11 charisma, which, is on par with most animals. The 4 intelligence on par with most animals. The wisdom is actually lower than like your typical animal companions and that. So like this is a very alien concept to approaching, which I think fits within a Fey adventure. But the thing is going to have a confusing bubble. The Jabberwock burbles to itself unless it's incapacitated. Any creature that starts its turn within 30 feet of the Jabberwock and is able to hear its burbling must make a DC 18 Charisma saving throw. On a failed save, the creature can't take reactions until the start of its next turn, and it rolls a d4 to determine what it does during its current turn. 1 to 2, the creature does nothing. 3, the creature does nothing except use all of his movement to move in a random direction. And 4, the creature either makes one melee attack against a random creature it can see, or it does nothing if no visible creature is within reach.
This is really the bread and butter of this monster, because this is going to really shut down those martial characters that, are going to rely on being close to it and being heavy hitters. I mean, even a rogue. I think rogues, for their sneak attack, do they have to be within 30 feet? Is there a range on that?
No, they
can just, as long as they have someone adjacent.
They usually have to have something that's adjacent.
I might be thinking of a previous edition.
It might be a previous edition, but it's a scenario where like some DMs might rule of like, all right, if the thing is, if your ally is standing there not doing anything, some DMs might be like, well, the idea of you getting a sneak attack is the person's distracted. The creature's not going to be distracted if you're just standing there. So some DMs might, wind up like, I don't know.
Yeah, on that 1 or 2, I would be like, that's equivalent to being incapacitated, and that's like one of the things, like they have to not be incapacitated.
Right.
I mean, this is a legendary monster. It's going to get legendary resistances. It gets regeneration. A Jabberwock regains 10 hit points at the start of its turn. If the Jabberwock takes slashing damage, this trait doesn't function to the start of the next turn. If the Jabberwock dies, it only starts its turn with 0 hit points and doesn't regenerate. So, not too bad. Probably going to get hit with slashing weapons at least once a round, but there's always that chance. It's also an uncanny tracker. The Jabberwock can unerringly track any creature it has wounded in the last 24 hours, and it knows the distance and direction to the quarry as long as the 2 of them are on the same plane of existence.
And, with that whole concept of it focuses on one thing at a time, like you might encounter one of these things just kind of rushing through the forest after a victim who wound up finding a way to magically teleport away, because it hunts that thing. So it's kind of amusing.
Yeah, I find this track, this feature a little bit more useful if it's being directed by another creature,
Mm-hmm.
because the Jabberwock itself is not going to be particularly tactical,
Mm-hmm.
or have much cunning or guile, right? A low wisdom, low intelligence. So I mean, it would be cool to play it as a hit and run type monster, but it's not statted that way. You would need somebody directing it in order to do that.
I would agree. So under actions, it can multi-attack and it can do 2 rends. It's plus 10 to hit, reach 10 feet, 3d10 slashing damage. Or it can also do a tail attack, which does, plus 10 to hit, reach 15 feet, for 1d10 damage. Not sure why it would choose to do 1 tail over 2 rends.
Well, the tail plays into his legendary actions.
It also has a fiery gaze recharge on a 5/6. Unless it's blinded, the Jabberwock emits a 120-foot long, 5-foot wide line of fire from its eyes. Each creature in that line must make a DC 18 Dex save, taking 31 or 7d8 fire damage on a failed save, or half as much on a successful one.
So yeah, you might be able to stay out of its immediate threat range, and the burbling, but it's probably going to be able to shoot you with some fire, with laser eyes, essentially. It also gets some legendary actions. The Jabberwock can make 3 legendary actions, choosing from the options below. Only 1 legendary action can be used at a time, and only at the end of another creature's turn. The Jabberwock regains spent legendary actions at the start of its turn. Tail attack, the Jabberwock makes 1 tail attack. Rend attack requires 2 actions. The Jabberwock makes a 1 rend attack. A wing attack, 3 actions. The Jabberwock beats its wings. Each creature within 10 feet of the Jabberwock must succeed on a DC 18 dexterity saving throw or take 1d6 plus 5 bludgeoning damage and be knocked prone. So it's pretty impressive. I like it. It's a very different kind of dragon. Until we get Fizzban's, the Fizzban book with a bunch more dragons, to see what we're going to get in there. But this is definitely kind of cool to introduce to the players, and it just has such a different look. Like, I can imagine like the whole body being either submerged in the water or hidden in the brush, and just the head poking out, which is this really weird looking face. It doesn't even look like a dragon. So at first they might not even know what it is.
Sure. I mean, this pseudo reptilian with these huge eyes. I dig this creature as is. I think with the low mentals, it definitely has the ability to be controlled. We've got a dragon that's literally proficient in every single save, which you usually don't see. But hey, it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, even some of those, even though it's proficient in every save, there's still many of those stats that they get penalties to. So all it is doing is offsetting those penalties. So they're still not going to be great.
Completely. But I would highly recommend not trying to make a strength save or a con save.
And also, this is not the most powerful monster, even in the book. Right. We have an even more powerful monster. So all in all, if you're like us and usually it's just like cherry picking things from the book to throw into your own game, I think this is a pretty good find. What do you guys think? What is your favorite monster from the Wild Beyond the Witchlight? Are you using that book? Are you running the adventure? Or are you going to do like us and pick it apart? Share your thoughts and ideas with the Nerdarchy community down below.
While you're down there, don't forget to do all the fun things like, share, subscribe. You know the drill.
Quick reminder, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, we drop new videos over here on the channel. Come back and check them out. Can't wait till then? No worries, we got you covered. You can also check out our video on the magic items from the Wild Beyond the Witchlight.
So until next time,
stay nerdy.